Hello and welcome to our second weekly special episode of Most Unwanted, an X-Files podcast. I'm Luke and I am with Chex. So these are our mini bios on the characters of the series, and today we'll be looking at Fox William Spooky Mulder.
As his father calls him.
Yeah. Muldad. Let's never forget. Mulder is a highly skilled FBI special agent who has brought his often criticised methods of formulating unconventional theories to the X-Files. You can say that again. At the start of the series, what did you think of Mulder?
Well, I actually will say it again, Luke.
Oh, yeah.
Unconventional.
Yeah.
I think that's a key word.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think there's anyone that dislikes Mulder at the start.
No, not initially. I think we initially said from the off that he reminds me of Han Solo.
And you know what? That's ever since you mentioned that in the very first episode of Most Unwanted.
Yeah.
And that's what I've linked him to ever since. Because he's the rogue. He's doesn't play by the rules, but is still the good guy.
Yeah.
And he's just lovable. He's lovable.
And in those first few episodes as well, his sense of humour just really shines through. And I mean, we see that a lot more in later episodes. But even from the very off, you get that first shot of him on the plane, worrying about turbulence or making jokes about that. So, I think his humour's a key part to the character.
Yeah, but also you do see the different side of him. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, not much later on in season 1, right at the start, obviously we get this story of his sister, and I believe it's in Conduit. You get that sort of really emotional scene of Mulder breaking down, and you realise...
God, was that early on?
It was. I think it was in the 5th episode.
Yeah.
And, so you do see this sort of conflicted character, and yes, he puts up a barrier and he's lovable, but he has got this side to him where you see where his passion comes from. And I think that's another key word to Mulder. Passionate. He is very passionate about the X-Files, about his job, about his search for the truth. And we talked in the last episode about Scully's search for knowledge. There's a very different side of Mulder because it's a search for truth.
It's very personal. Very personal.
And it is very personal, which Scully isn't. Scully's necessarily isn't.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting contrast between the two of them.
Yeah, definitely. So I suppose after 49 episodes now, what do you think of Mulder now?
Yeah, I mean, Mulder. I don't think Mulder had as much of a change as Scully.
No, I was just thinking about that. Like as I was looking at the question, I was like, he's quite, we see a lot more. His character's grown as we've now seen his family, know a bit more about his sister, and the actual incidents that led him to this path. But his actual outlook hasn't really changed. He's still the same character, really.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah. The status quo is very similar.
Yeah.
I think the biggest change in Mulder is his relationship with Scully.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And I feel like whereas before she was someone there to look after him, and that's what he thought of her as, and almost like opposition to him.
Yeah.
Someone to prove wrong. Now it's become this very protective relationship. We've seen sort of in the middle of season 2, and with quite a few character arcs where he's genuinely cares for Scully. And I think I would go as far to say I don't think he's actually cared for anyone this much since his sister.
Yeah, I would agree, actually, yeah.
And I feel it mirrors a lot of the relationship in a weird way. I don't, you know what I mean? Because I know it's probably going to be romantic at some points. But as with regards to the love and respect, I feel like there's a lot of that between them.
That's the thing, because they do hint that he's had partners, as in, partners in the FBI, I mean, in the past. But they always just seem like close colleague, sort of, distant friends or what would you say, acquaintances, not really close friends. But it seems like he's not let somebody in this much. Since I don't know if anybody has really. So
I think it's quite simple. I think he's found his equal.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's found. The thing is with Mulder, I think on first impressions you would assume he's after someone who believes what he believes, who shares the same beliefs. And I think from episode 1, and obviously we're talking about sort of later on, but you've got to talk about the past as well.
Oh, yeah.
And from episode 1, I had the impression that he wants someone to believe what he believes.
Yeah.
But now I don't think that. I think he wants someone who is willing to challenge him on his beliefs and have that discussion, be someone on his level where he can bounce ideas off and get ideas from them as well.
Yeah.
And Scully is definitely that. And I think that's what he's craved for, and I think that's why you've got this bond and this sort of really strong relationship between the two characters building up.
Because really, she doesn't discount his theories completely. She just tries to find a way to explain them.
Yeah.
So she sort of fits into what he's looking for as this, somebody to ground him in the FBI's sort of methodology, and actually, but sort of not dismiss what he's actually trying to do.
Yeah. I think we should also mention, just whilst we're here, that the crazy theories, I mean, that's a huge part of the character. And I hope he never changes on that, because he's almost got this, and we've mentioned it quite a few times in the podcast, this almost social awkwardness.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
He almost doesn't seem to really fit into society.
Yeah, he sort of doesn't really have any tact when he's trying to talk about these theories. Like, most people, I think, even if you believe these, most people would sort of try and, like, sort of softly approach the subject. But I think it was a few episodes ago, he blatantly just says to a woman that maybe your chimpanzee or your gorilla got kidnapped by aliens.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like maybe you should have gone a bit softer in there, Mulder. But I don't think he'll ever change.
No,
I think he'll always be this way.
I don't think he'd be the same character if he did.
So I guess, where do you see the character going? What's their arc, and how do you see them fit into the universe?
Mulder's an interesting one, because I don't really know. It could go so many different ways, is what I mean. And I think it all depends on how and when he discovers the truth, in air quotes.
Yeah.
Because we've seen him confirm some of his beliefs, and that's not enough for him. He's still searching.
Still wants more. Yeah.
At the start, I would have hazarded a guess that proof of aliens would have been enough for him, and it's certainly not been now. He's got more than enough proof that aliens exist.
I think ever since he got told by Deep Throat that, the more he learned from Deep Throat about how insidious this plot is, it's now become more than just finding my family and finding out the truth about aliens. It's what is the extent of this, like, sort of plot, basically.
Yeah, and it's exposing it. It's exposing the cover-up and finding the truth, and that's why I think this pursuit of the truth is such an interesting thing, because it doesn't necessarily boil down to self-interest anymore.
No.
So you can't really judge where it's going to go. It's going to go, unlike Scully, where Scully's got a very predetermined path, I believe. Mm-hmm. Mulder, it goes where the story goes.
Yeah.
And wherever the story goes, we'll see Mulder go with it.
He's very much tied to this conspiracy completely.
Yeah, it's the plot. It's the plot that's going to drive his story, which makes for a very interesting character, because the plot could go whichever way it wants, and Mulder. I don't know how you deal with a lot of these paths and journeys. Yeah. So I think that's always going to be one of the big appeals of the X-Files, because it's exciting. Yeah. Because wherever it goes, it's going to be very interesting to see how Mulder deals with that.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to wrap up this one now, and tomorrow we'll be looking at Deep Throat, and also we'll be bringing in a bit of X as well, Mr. X, is it?
Yeah, the two informants from the 2 seasons so far. So we're going to sort of have a joint episode on those two.
Yeah, there's not much you can sort of talk about on just one in one series.
And they're so linked, which is so... Exactly. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, so we'll catch you tomorrow, guys.